Now stand aside, worthy adversary.
'Tis but a scratch.
A scratch? Your arm's off.
No, it isn't.
Well, what's that then?
Hey, what's up guys, Weekend Version here with another Dawncaster video. In this video we'll go through the Knight. So last time we finished the Hunter series. This will be a beginner's guide for the Knight. And as always, it's a fresh account. I've only unlocked the first row of upgrades. So that's the extra gold, extra experience and extra starting health. So if you unlocked even more upgrades with the Knight, they should be even easier. I'll be going over tips and tricks to help you with the gameplay. And we'll also pick the starting weapon, which in this case is the LongSword. Deals 2 damage and gains 2 armor with the keyword upgradable. That means anything else that's in bold also gets upgraded as you upgrade the cards. So those are special cards. So in this case, the LongSword will upgrade the damage plus the armor it gives every time we upgrade it. For the starting power, we'll go with Fortified Weapon. And Fortified Weapon is a clickable passive which will give you armor equal to 3 times your level, and it will give you the keyword Fortified. And Fortified just means that you will not lose the armor at the start of your next turn, and Fortified itself actually disappears at the end of the turn. For the starting card, we'll pick Bolstered Strike, which is a melee action and it costs 1 blue or red mana, and it deals 4 damage, and it creates a card called Bash if it hits. And Bash will deal damage equal to your armor, plus it will crit if you are fortified. So if you're fortified, it will do double damage, and it will also interrupt. The enemy will lose any remaining mana, and they will not be able to use their deadly attack. So as always, we'll pick the normal difficulty, we'll disable all the other card expansions, and we'll go with the starting zone. And let's start. So in this beginner's guide, I'll be going over some tips and tricks you can follow along with, and I'll also pick the default path. In this game, you can purchase expansions which will give you additional paths you can take after every zone. But if you don't have those, then you have one default path you can pick. So we'll pick the opportunity, which gave us some gold, and then let's fight the Sharp Claw Raven. So the Sharp Claw Raven is a beast, and it has a passive where every time it takes damage, it will gain evasion. So we'll play the LongSword, and then we'll reserve the mana, because there's no point in following it up with another attack. Evasion means that it will dodge any melee based attack, but it does not work versus magic or ranged attacks. So let's gain some armor. Play the LongSword, and then play another one so we can hit it one more time. Let's start with the Surge, follow up with a LongSword, another one, and yeah, let's play another one, and Bolstered Strike. So we have Bleeding, and Bleeding is a damage amplification. So if the bird lands a hit on us, we will take 5 extra damage. And then the number of stacks will go down by 1. So that was a quick fight. After every fight, we will get a choice reward of 3 cards. We'll just skip through the selection, and let's fight the Tusk Boar. We'll play the LongSword, another one, follow up with a Surge, and then Bolstered Strike, and a Bash. So that was quite a bit of damage in turn 1. And if you notice, as you drag out the card, you can select the color of mana you want to use. So for example, I'll pick the LongSword. If I go from the right, it will pick the red mana. But if I were to drag it from the left side, it will use the blue mana. I'll play the Surge, a LongSword, follow it with another LongSword. I'll play 2 LongSwords. So the Surge of Intelligence gave us Focus, and Focus actually got reworked recently. So you gain an extra card draw for every 6 stacks of Focus you have, and you're able to foretell for 1 extra card for every 3 cards you draw. We'll fight another Tusk Boar, play the Longsword, another one, into Bash. So 4 armor, that's pretty decent. So this game actually feels tighter than Slay the Spire, and by that I mean that your choices and game knowledge matter much more, in my opinion, because you're able to kind of mitigate some of the RNG effects by going to specific places, triggering specific quests to try and get the cards you want, or manipulate the cards that you need in a specific way. And we'll go over some of those as we come across them in these beginner guides. With these card choices, we can pick Brace for Impact. So that's a nice card that will give us some extra armor if we're in a pinch. So let's fight the Spider. Play the Surge of Strength into a Longsword, another one, into Bash. So sequencing in this game matters depending on the type of deck you're using. So generally, if you're playing with, let's say, a flanking keyword, then your sequencing matters to try and trigger the flanking keyword. Or if you're using mixed colored mana, then your choice of which mana to pick also matters, so sequencing can kind of matter in this game. But I think for this type of deck, it doesn't matter as much unless we get some specific cards. Speaking of flanking, we can pick Backswing, so that will give us haste, and haste means that the next card we draw costs 1 less mana, so that's a nice card to get. Now let's fight the Tusk Boar, which is a boss. Let's activate our weapon power, so that gave us Fortified. We'll gain some more mana, and then we'll try and gain as much armor as possible before we play the Bash. So down to 3 HP in the first turn. So again, that crit really helps out. Play the Longsword, another one, and just finish it off. So we go pretty lucky with our starting hand there. If we didn't have the Bolstering Strike in turn 1, then it wouldn't have taken this quick to actually beat them. We'll pick the Berserk, so we can shuffle some Furies. Furies are cards that cost no mana, but they deal 1 damage to you and give you 1 anger. And anger is a stat which basically just means that your cards will do 1 extra damage. So fight the Bandit. Play the Longswords, gain some armor. So the nice thing about this deck is you passively gain armor as you play your offensive cards, so it's a pretty nice way of sustaining. So you don't really have access to much heals with this type of playstyle, but you do mitigate a lot of damage, especially if you time it right with cards like Brace for Impact. So we'll play the Brace for Impact and then the Longsword. So the reason for playing Brace of Impact there is because if you look at the top left corner, you'll see 2 red cards with the sword icon. So that means the enemy is about to play those cards. A sword icon means it's a melee attack. A bow and arrow icon means it's a ranged attack. A fire icon is a magic attack. And the shield is a defensive power. And a gear is just like a special card. So we'll roll through some of these talents. Headhunter looks good. We'll roll again. Weapon Training. So actually if we pick Weapon Training, that means we can activate our weapon power more often. And for the build we're trying to do, if we get fortified, then we can get lucky with the crits. So I think we'll pick weapon training. So we got another bolstering strike and a brace for impact. Brace for impact was really good. But an extra bolstering strike means that we're more likely to have it in our starting hand. But I think I'll pick brace for impact for now, and we'll fight the Toxinid. So I should have activated the weapon power there, but that's fine. We'll play the back swing, trigger the haste, and then another longsword. Play the bash, 2 damage, 2 HP left. Play the Surge of Strength, the Longsword, and it's dead. So play the Surge of Strength just to gain that 1 extra HP. Searing Weapon is nice, but we don't really gain focus much in this playstyle. So we can just skip these cards. And then pick the Opportunity. So we will not sacrifice a random card, we'll just close it. And then let's fight the wolf. So the encounters in this game come in a few types. So you have your fights, your battle encounters, you have the mini bosses, the final bosses, and then you have something called shrines. So shrines look like statues with different colored gems, and depending on the colored gems, it's one of a few different types of statues. So statues are one of the main ways of manipulating your deck in specific ways you want, and it also requires game knowledge. So if we come across some interesting shrines, I can probably discuss what some of them do. And then you have opportunities, which are golden chests, and these are just random events. They could be fights, special dialogue, or anything really. And the only thing to consider as a new player is that opportunities disappear if you don't pick them. So if one of your options is an opportunity and you don't pick it immediately, then it does not get shuffled back into the encounter deck. So with that in mind, so opportunities would be the highest priority encounters you should be going for, because everything else is reshuffled, shrines included. So shrines and campsites. Campsites will obviously just heal your health, but you can also use them to remove specific cards from your deck. So we'll pick the shrine, and this shrine said that we can copy a card, so we'll copy the Berserk. So the reason I did that, although Berserk is not necessarily the best card in our deck, is because it has a green rarity, which means if we upgrade it a couple of times it becomes legendary, and it's an easier way of guaranteeing a legendary. So the gimmick with the Weeping Mother is that after the first turn she will apply 4 stacks of Dazed, and Dazed is a keyword which the number of stacks goes down by 1 every time you play a card, and if it gets to 0 you become stunned. So effectively you can only play 4 cards a turn. So the game plan with the Weeping Mother with the current deck we're playing is to basically just play as many long swords and mitigate as much damage as we can. We can shuffle some Furies so we can start doing some more damage. So if we have anywhere from like 4 to 10 armor at the end of our turn with the Weeping Mother, we should be fine. And unfortunately, because we don't have fortified, we can only crit in the first round. We'll play the Surge, Longsword, So yeah, the annoying thing with the Weeping Mother is she heals. So the Weeping Mother heals quite often. It makes it annoying. But as long as we're gaining armor at the end of our turn, we should be fine. So she's over 50% HP, which is not that great. We'll keep the brace for impact for now, in case we run into a larger problem. So we can play it now because if you look, one of our cards has a skull icon, so that's a deadly attack. And if you interrupted the enemy, then that skull will turn into something else. So it's a way of just like denying them from using their ultimate ability. So we'll play the longsword, block another longsword, so 7 armor. We should be able to, deflect most of that damage. So 10 HP left. 10 HP left. We'll do 2 longswords, surge, another one. So if she doesn't heal, then okay, so it's gonna take some time to beat it, but at least we should be good afterwards. But at least we should be quite healthy after this fight. We'll play the bash. Block 4 damage. So we see them back up again. Toxic bite. Okay, we should be able to take it down this turn, so brace for impact, play the bash, and it's dead. Okay. So that was straightforward. Seething Anger could be an interesting take, or Bolstering Strike. I'll pick the Seething Anger just to upgrade it. And let's use the campfires to heal up. And we'll use the last one to remove a card. So we'll remove a block. And then go to the next zone. So that was the boss of the first zone, Canto 1. And the Weeping Mother is, I would say it's a fair boss. She can be quite annoying if you don't have any good source of damage, or if you take too long to beat her, because she will just heal up the majority of that damage. So it's always a balance of being able to push out damage fast enough before she can heal it all back up again. In the next video we'll go to the next zone. Actually, before we do that, so let's speak with the alchemist and transmute one of our cards. So we'll transmute the Fury card into Last Stand, Elite Weaponry, Cleave in Twain. So for our specific deck, Last Stand could come in clutch, because we'll gain armor equal to our missing health. So if we're getting low, it could be nice to get us out of a pinch. So we'll do that. And I'll use my weapon power before speaking with the blacksmith and upgrade the cards. So now they deal 3 damage and gain 3 armor. So whenever you speak with the blacksmith, even if you don't do anything and you just skip the dialogue, it will refresh your weapon power. So it's a nice way of resetting your weapon power in case you need to. And it's also a nice way of getting another recharge for free. So yeah, these are our talents. So we picked weapon training. And in the next video we'll go to the next zone, which has Daisy. Better look out for that. So thanks for watching and see you in the next one. Bye bye.